So my name is Emre Tekisalp. I lead business development for Coinbase Wallet. And today I will be talking about how stablecoins can unlock a open financial system, a decentralized financial system, whatever you want to name it. So first of all, some context why as to Coinbase is talking about this. So as some of you might know, first of all, let me just get a raise of hands. Who knows what Coinbase is or who Coinbase is? Okay, so most of the people have heard of it. If you haven't, we're a US-based exchange, brokerage, and an overall crypto company. Been around 7 years now, I think. Safe to say, I think one of the biggest exchanges in the world. We have close to 30 million customers, and that's where predominantly American and European individuals, retail individuals, come to purchase their crypto. Besides that main business, as we call it, we also have a product that's called Coinbase Wallet. So Coinbase Wallet it's a mobile user-controlled cryptocurrency wallet. So you can transfer your cryptocurrency to your Coinbase Wallet app, hold your own keys so you don't custody the funds with Coinbase or any other centralized entity, and start using dApps or transfer your funds to other Coinbase Wallet or any other Ethereum wallet owner. So that's Coinbase Wallet. We also recently launched a new, it's hard to call it a product, but for lack of a better name, which is a stablecoin. So as some say on Twitter or elsewhere, 2018 is turning out to be the year of stablecoins, as how 2017 was the year of the ICOs. And we're very well aware of that, and that there's many stablecoins out there nowadays. But we also launched USD coin on Coinbase, also called USDC. And in launching it on Coinbase, we also have joined Circle, which is another somewhat of a competitor of ours in the brokerage space, to form a new consortium called Center, which is issuing and governing this stablecoin. So without going into too much detail about stablecoins, this is, unlike Maker's DAI, which we all know and love, this is a fiat-backed stablecoin. So what happens is we, as Coinbase and Circle and other future consortium members, have relationships with certain reserve banks. We hold fiat money, in this case USD, in those reserve banks, and at a 1-to-1 ratio, we issue new ERC20 coins for each fiat we take in. What does this enable? This enables suddenly, in a similar way to how back in the 60s, 70s, I don't know when, ATMs first started coming around, and you used to be able to deposit your hard cash into an ATM and get some sort of a digital manifestation of your dollars. So that was the first step. Now we're actually converting those to true digital dollars, where the dollar is a digital item you can own, you can transfer to anyone, and most importantly, as we all here are fans of, you can program that stuff. So you can do all sorts of open financial stuff with it. So we believe the combination of these two, and of course not specifically USDC, but what all the stablecoins are doing, creates a very interesting avenue that I think gets us closer to, a step closer to the eventual goal we want to all head to, which is the open financial system. And I'm going to talk real quickly about how that is today, and then try and get a crowd interactive activity about, which feasible steps we need to take to get there as soon as possible. So as we all know, cryptocurrencies is what started with the reason we're all here. However, there are certain problems with it, right? Three that I've identified, and there's many problems with cryptocurrencies and blockchains, but three main ones, at least ahead of a broad user adoption in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of people using it, is volatility, cognitive barriers, so people not being familiar with how to use this new money form as opposed to their local country's fiat currency, and also the speed and cost of transferring this. I'll just go through volatility and speed cost as well, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Volatility, what I mean with that is with price of Bitcoin, Ether, as you know, it can go up, it can go down drastically, and we've lost 80% market cap this year. And speed and cost, although for large payments, it might actually be much cheaper and speedier than the current financial system. For smaller payments, it's much slower and costs more than you going to a shop and being able to pay with your credit card right away. So what do stablecoins do to solve some of these? So first and foremost, the reason they're called stablecoins, and I apologize for how small those images might be, but I'll go through them, is they actually hold their value at a dollar or a euro or a Czech krona or whatever you might be pegging it against. So these are actually screenshots from the main Coinbase app, and because USD Coin is now live there, we actually have this flat line, which looks really weird, but we also put it there intentionally because like it is stable. In terms of cognitive barriers, so I think this is an important one, as I was just mentioning. The story we're trying to tell, at least on the Coinbase side with this new USD Coin, is that it's like a digital dollar, so that the user doesn't have to learn of a new technology or a new name. It's just available in an app that you already have. It looks like a dollar, and it transforms into this thing that is called in a similar way and has the same dollar icon. And I realized that this might be not all the way to the entire decentralized sovereign currency that we all also want to go to, but to get this into the hands of hundreds of millions of users, you need to give people something that they're already familiar with. And we think stablecoins have the unique advantage of doing that because of the way you can actually brand it and communicate the value proposition. And in terms of speed and cost, this is, I think, a newer area, but Maker, I think, did a very interesting thing with POA Network. They launched their own sidechain where everything is spent, or all the costs are charged in DAI. And also it's much speedier and much lower in cost. So this actually enables us to get there. And there's a lot of innovation nowadays happening with state channels and other sorts of side chains, plasma chains, which some of you might be familiar with. So I think this is the least addressed as opposed to the first two, which I think we're pretty much there or getting there. But we're seeing some actual innovation that's happening on the speed and cost side. So these are all great, but in these events up until recently, actually, I think when this is starting to change, especially with some of the projects in this conference, the cryptocurrency community likes to talk about all these lofty visions, but what's available today? Like, what can I do right now? So I just wanted to cover that right away. So first of all, I'm going to go a quick demo here. Let's hope it works. You all know how demos go. They usually fail, but we'll do a Hail Mary. Let's see. Okay, so this is oops, not this actually. Yes. So this is my actually personal Coinbase account. And this is a live instance. It's not like a demo instance or something. For some reason, the URL bar is not showing here, but let me actually try and pull this. Yeah. So if you have a Coinbase account, you can go there right now. And you can test this yourself as well. And I can try and purchase or convert 10 fiat dollars. As you can see here, this is paid with my Chase bank account. It says preview purchase. I think that's something really nice here. We don't charge any fees because, again, we're trying to portray this as converting your normal dollars into digital dollars. I say buy now, and then it should, it says payment is processing. If I go to, so I have now 30 USDC here, and I can send that to anywhere. Let's say, I copy paste this address, which is actually my Coinbase wallet address, and say I want to send $5. Something that's actually also nice is that the fee is also deducted in USDC. So I won't go through the whole process because I need to then deal with Google Auth and everything. But there's also this whole barrier. If any of you have tried to use a stablecoin, you have to pay fees in ETH, and then a new user doesn't know what the heck ETH is, so you have to go through all those barriers. So I think we're starting to resolve some of these issues today, which is I think what's exciting. So that was one thing. Another thing I wanted to show is a sneak peek of a integration. Oh, snap, indeed. Let's see if this reloads. Sorry about this. An integration that we're about to roll out between Coinbase Wallet and Coinbase itself, which makes this whole process of, okay, I have USDC now, and I want to use this in an open financial system app. Give it a second. This is a GIF, so it's just going to loop. But what you're going to see is, so this is a Coinbase wallet interface. There was a Coinbase link account, and it just OAuths into your Coinbase account. You go in there, you select USDC, and you can just automatically withdraw to your Coinbase wallet. And voila, you kind of have this stable coin now actually usable in the hands of about 30 million users that can start to use this in all sorts of decentralized applications. And this is coming very soon, not available right now. So I think the point of the message is, okay, we have stable coins out there, and we now have a vehicle to get into the hands of millions of users. And now what? That's the sort of interactive part of the panel that I wanted to do. I misjudged the layout of the room. I initially wanted to, or imagined we could do this in a debate forum, which is usually great. So what instead I'm going to request is we'll go one by one between the two sides of an argument. That for stable coins to enable an open financial system, what needs to happen first? Do we first need to enable all of the decentralized finance applications we have today, from Dharma to Compound to 0x relayers, etc., with stable coins, and then put that as a main method? Or just say, never mind all these applications right now, we first need to have stable coins work in a traditional payment scenario, so you can just pay one on each other. And let's say we have 3 months of limited time, and we're all together, like this group, we're all engineers, let's say, and other talented individuals, and we want to do this. We want to have this work and be available to hundreds of millions of users. What needs to come first? So I will first, ask anyone on the yay side to raise their hands, make arguments, and keep yours to 30 seconds. And then after 3 of them, I'm going to go to the nay side. We should just focus on the payment use case. And then after that, we'll try and wrap up with some new ideas. The goal here, again, is to not have one side win over the other, but to facilitate formation of new ideas. Does that make sense? Okay, we'll see how it works. Maybe it doesn't, but all right. So first of all, who's on the left side, the yay side? We need all these decentralized financial applications to work with this. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, if you raise your hand, just make a point of why you think you're on that side, and 30 seconds, no longer than that.
Yeah, so this is you're saying that the stablecoins are useful without you getting adopted as a business.
Yeah, we first need to, if we have, Dharma and Compound on 0x and all the open financial system applications use stablecoins right away, first and foremost, we'll get to tens of millions, hundreds of millions of users.
Okay, yeah, so I think we need that because I think trading is a really big use case in the blockchain, and we need some sort of currency that everyone can use across exchanges, and that's what will kind of get decentralized exchanges to get adopted. If we have currencies that people can use across these exchanges.
Okay, just to sum up, if anyone didn't hear, the point was that exchanges and financial applications are super important, and if we have a single currency that people can go between all of these, then that's how it's going to work, and get it into the hands of millions of users. Any other points on the EA side?
People naturally value things in their local currency. If I want to buy something, I don't say that thing costs about $10. I think that's $2,000.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a very valid argument. I'm on that boat myself personally.
Currencies are important because most of the payments made are spot payments, but a result of an obligation, so be it your salary, work per month, get paid, or your contractor. So you probably want to have the value of the contract be pretty stable over the contract period.
Okay, so I think I like how you're taking a first principles approach whereby, hey, first people get paid in the real world, and that needs to be in a stable value before you can start thinking of paying it out, right? All right, so we heard 3 arguments from the A side. What about on the right side? Yes?
Most people outside of crypto don't interact with things like leverage trading or loans, except maybe when you buy a car or a mortgage, so that most of their day-to-day usage of finance today is getting paid, like you mentioned, and paying for stuff. And for that, just a stablecoin is enough, right? And all the dApps and sort of the plus for your advanced users. But if I'm just a newbie user, I probably won't be going and Maker and opening a CDP, but I'd be happy to just have that and know that it's worth $1 and it'll be worth $1 tomorrow.
Okay, so just keep it simple. People need to just be able to hold this coin in their hands. No one deals with these complicated financial instruments. Yeah, and speculate. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think currently, like, all these cryptocurrencies that we have is a very bad means of payment, right? Because, like, I mean, I can spend it today, and if the price is gonna, 200% up tomorrow, I would regret this. So I wouldn't use it. And I think this is, like, a very basic underlying thing for adoption. I mean, currently people coming into space, because most of them are speculators, right? And they don't use this as means of payment, even though we call it cryptocurrency, right? It's just weird. So I think this has to go first, and then you're gonna have like maybe all the dApps and protocols and so on. But most people don't.
Yep. Okay. I think everyone heard that. Thanks for being loud. Yep.
One point on like financial literacy, like it's not widely known to everybody about how to use financial applications. When that's to your point, like none of them will be used until people actually have the basic means to understand how do I even send money to my friend, etc., or how do I pay for a good. So like that aspect of having all these applications to use these financial tools, like is just not viable for most of the world.
Cool. So I think just to wrap up the nay side's arguments, it's, we first need the basics applications. Going first towards the complicated ones leaves out the majority of the use cases. All right, so second round of this, and some of you might have been in like debate competitions, is the yay side, so the other side, to make arguments specifically against what was just said by the nay side. So anything against those? Yep.
Systems bring in power users that bring in liquidity, and that creates an environment where people have they're more comfortable to use it, right? It's one thing if you have a currency, but if it's not acceptable anywhere, then it's not really a currency, right? So we need those power users there creating liquidity to build acceptability of stablecoins and other cryptocurrencies.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's all the market makers, like in exchanges and other financial instruments. It's again the power users that kickstart the actual usability. I like that. Yep.
Use something new if they can achieve the same thing with the old thing. So why would they learn something, try to use something new if they can pay with the dollars and it has the same amount and same value and same, you can do the same things with the new coin.
So I think the argument there is like the real innovation with blockchains and decentralized finance is that all the new financial instruments and services we're going to eventually get. And that's the main novelty. Okay. Any last arguments from the yay side? Cool. All right. Switching to the nays. Again, in a similar way, if you can make arguments specifically against these last 2 points that were made, if you have any. Yep.
Bringing liquidity and the finance guys, like the finance money side, will help fund the ecosystem, but it's not going to lead to like adoption, like massive adoption. It's like CryptoKitties, like people didn't do it because and like whatever, like there wasn't about the money aspect. It was like maybe a more of a fun, interesting, gamified thing. So if it's going to go into the hands of millions, it needs to be something that's like consumer friendly, that is like has utility for them as a consumer, not just as a financial.
Yeah. I like that. Any other from the nay side? Cool. Okay, so I want to wrap this experimental exercise here. If anyone has any last points that they want to make arguments, please do raise your hand. But otherwise, I think what this shows us is like in many things in cryptocurrency, this is a chicken and egg problem, right? We need at one end power users and complicated instruments to provide some actual novelty of what's new about these cryptocurrencies to the average user. And on the other hand, we first need to start with the basic stuff that people can understand in the millions range. And these are also technical products. They're software products and they're complicated, right? So we first need to get the basics right before we can go to the more advanced use cases. So I think, I mean, personally, I think these are both very viable arguments. We're finding the answer collectively. But I think what it also comes down to is listening to what the users say. So this is the results of a survey we did at Coinbase to Coinbase users. So, that pool of 30 million individuals. Sorry, it's a bit small, but I'll read the relevant ones to you. And we asked them, hey, look, what do you want to do with your cryptocurrency now that you have it and now that you, have made or lost some money from it? And the three things that I think are relevant to this conversation are paying for services in cryptocurrency, and that's 93% of the respondents answered somewhat or likely, or very likely. Purchase goods with cryptocurrency, so this is more the usual merchant use case, and then easily send cryptocurrency to others, so like a Venmo or a global Venmo, and that's 91%. So I think the one thing we see here is people actually want to, not to pick favorites, but skewing more towards the nay side, the keep it simple side. People are looking for those use cases, but if you do look across some of the other ones, you can also see hints of, using complicated financial services as well. So again, there's no clear answer, but people do want to do this. I think that's the nice thing out of this exercise that we did. People are looking for ways to use these simple tools like they do today with other basic financial services. So that actually wraps up all I had. But I think if there's any other topics or questions for me or Coinbase, I'm happy to discuss those. So yeah, any questions or discussions? Yeah.
Sort of, I guess, your premise of generating adoption by getting 30 million users from holding stablecoins. Was there a particular reason other than being a centralized entity that you guys went down that centralized path of having a commission system versus something open like that?
Yeah, so I'd say two things. One is, by the way, we're fans of Maker and DAI. I'll just put that disclaimer out there. Jess is looking at me. But one thing I think, DAI has performed very impressively, but it scales a bit slower. Whereas with USDC, for example, and any other fiat-backed stablecoin, it just scales right away. You can see this on the blockchain. Before we made the announcement, there were 30 million or so USDC. Now there's 130 million, and we announced this like 5-6 days ago. So it just scales massively, right? So do some of the other stablecoins that are fiat-backed on our ERC20s, and we all know how big Tether is within the crypto trading community. So that's number one reason, just bringing it a bit closer. And then, frankly, the second reason is building products that are used by millions of people is really hard. We've been through this, and Coinbase has done, had faults in the past, like when everything was going up, we fixed a lot of that stuff and learned how to work with it. So having a bit of this closer to our chest also helps bring this to the masses. Just owning that experience and being able to control, for example, the demand, right? So like what happens if we have suddenly people rushing through the doors to purchase USDC for whatever reason? How can we scale that up really fast? And all those sorts of questions. And frankly, having it in a fiat-backed way, at least today, makes it a lot easier. Hopefully in 5 years, like we are all committed to that open financial system as well. That's actually our company vision. So I think we agree in that ultimate direction, but today we feel like this just gets us where we want to faster. Yeah.
Do you know how many people participated in this?
Good question. I think it's around a few thousand. Yeah, a few thousand. Sorry. Yeah. They're Coinbase users.
When was it?
A couple months ago. Yeah.
You mentioned about the open financial system vision. In the case of USDC, let's say WikiLeaks starts accepting it, the US government can come in and say, like, okay, WikiLeaks no longer have USDC. Does that still align with that open financial system vision?
Yeah, so for clarity, and I guess I'll just go straight to the point. There is, in all these regulated fiat-backed currencies, there is a part of the contract that allows courts or regulators to be able to pause certain funds, and that's a regulatory requirement. So we'll only do this, if there's a court order or like a regulatory reason, and we have to have that because Look at Tether, for example. They're unregulated, but they're in an offshore bank account, and that's why they're facing all these stability issues. So that's not how you get to the millions of people. So I am answering your question in an indirect way to say, you know, it's not up to us, it's to the regulators and the jurisdictions that we operate in as a company. And our goal is to always work with them, to educate them, and then, you know, bring them closer to where we want them to be.
Those non-regulated.
So, I mean, we support that. For example, Coinbase Wallet has all, you know, we've been working with the Maker team, for example, for a while, and you can have DAI in Coinbase Wallet as well as any other stablecoin, right? But on the Coinbase brokerage side, we went with USDC for all the reasons that I just explained.
For you guys, like, use case, who are you guys, like, targeted users, or like what use cases do you guys actually want out of USDC?
So multiple. I think ultimately we see it as a digital dollar, simple as that. But there's phases to it. So frankly, the reason we launched this, by the way, so fast and nowadays is, as you might be aware, like Tether is not doing well. There's all sorts of changes in the stablecoin ecosystem specifically for traders. And that's a proven use case, right? Like more than 30 or 40% of all crypto trading happens through Tether books. So that use case is there, and that's frankly one that we are targeting. But ultimately, we want to go to that, you know, point where this USDC has utility and enables average people, non-crypto traders, to, you know, pay for things and pay for decentralized service applications and do all that stuff. So.
Basic payments and like currency acceptance, that'd be a priority for us to push the use case there as well.
Yeah, like that actually ties in greatly with the prior question. So Coinbase Commerce, for those who don't know, is a merchant solution where you, again, as a merchant, control your own funds, and that allows anyone anywhere in the world to become a merchant immediately. And stablecoins soon will be supported there. So, you know, that also enables a, you know, step-by-step direction towards an open financial system. That was Sid, by the way, also at Coinbase. Yeah.
How do you see the fiat-backed stablecoin ecosystem playing out over the next 6 to 12 months?
How do I see it?
See it playing out.
Yeah.
So, Gemini, Paxos, True USD.
Personal opinion. So I think there's two paths. One is definitely the DAI path, which is, you know, a truly sovereign and non-centralized stablecoin. On the fiat-backed or regulated stablecoin side, the approach we're taking is a consortium approach, and I see this very analogous to, for example, a Visa. If you read the history of Visa, it got started by Bank of America, and then got opened up and franchised to all the other banks in the world. So it became essentially a standard and a consortium. Then it became for profit and its own company, yada yada. But at least the initial beginnings of it, I think that's more analogous to what we're doing with Center, together with Circle. So I hope that network effect and the openness of it enables, you know, USDC to become more of a standard across the board. But yeah, I don't know how the others will prevail in that landscape. Absolutely, yeah. That's if you go to center.io. That, you know, there's all sorts of partners, Circle and Coinbase being founding partners. But yeah, that's the goal. There was a hand. Yep.
Yeah, I guess what I was going to say is, how would that play out, I guess, to the perspective if another, say, fiat coin wanted to convert to USDC, right? Like, is that something that either legally or could be done?
Yeah, so there's two ways in which I can do that, right? One is just in the open market to trade it against. That's legal. That's the trading use case, right? The other is, which is where Center comes in, is being able to issue and redeem directly to the Reserve Bank, where the fiat is held. And that's only reserved to the members of the Center consortium, because for that you have to go through certain, you know, AML, KYC procedures, be a legitimate company, be able to have all the operational overhead, etc. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening and hope this was helpful.